or pardon me, 13-year-old, a 13-year employee of a San Francisco nightclub was verbally harassed, demoted, and even subjected to physical assault, all because he informed his employers that he would be transitioning to male. If this kind of thing is happening where there are legal protections in place, it makes me wonder just how much worse it is for folks whose legal recourse for such abusive incidents is less clear. And my question to you is, can you please explain for us why clarifying federal law would be helpful, given the treatment that many transgender individuals receive on the job, both in states with explicit protections and those without?
Yes, thank you. Well, as you point out, Congresswoman, merely passing a law does not automatically change people's hearts or eliminate all discrimination, and we certainly know that from race discrimination, sex discrimination, religious discrimination laws. We still have to deal with those realities in our society. But what those laws do, the critical, essential thing accomplished by those laws, is to make it perfectly clear to everyone, including employers and employees, that we as a society condemn discrimination on those bases because they are completely unrelated to a person's ability to perform as an employee. Unfortunately, when it comes to gender identity discrimination, we don't have that clear message, and so what you see as a result is the kind of blatant, shocking, overt, unembarrassed discrimination that has been described on the panel today, and that devastates people's lives and literally leaves people with no way to earn a living and leads to incredibly high rates of homelessness and poverty in the transgender community. This, for our community, is a crisis. Having a federal law that makes clear that employers cannot discriminate on the basis of gender identity without running the risk of liability would have a transformative effect on our country. There is no doubt about that, and we've seen that in the states and localities that have those laws. True, we still have problems, but it provides a platform for education, and it provides legal recourse, which in the long run tremendously reduces the level of discrimination. And that's what our community so desperately needs.
Thank you, Mr. Mentor. Colonel, and I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, and I don't want to mispronounce it. I just want to thank you for your service to our nation, and I think that anyone who wishes to serve should be able to do so. And I think that oftentimes, certain workplaces are the richer and the better for the diversity that people bring to the table. And I think the first panel of witnesses for today shows how much better Congress is because of that diversity. I'm wondering, what does our country lose out when they don't allow people like you to work at the Library of Congress and brief members on an area of expertise that you have so much leadership and ability in?
Congresswoman, I think without having numbers, but the issue is very much akin to gay service in the military. Why should this country deny itself that pool of very qualified people and that expertise and experience that's there just because they're transgender? It almost defies belief.
And just briefly, if the chairman will indulge me, have you heard of other incidences similar to yours that have gone on, or is this a very rare occurrence?
No, actually, unfortunately, it's all too common an occurrence. And as Shannon's comments bear out, it is unfortunately all too common that the discrimination is blatant. But there are also legend scores of cases where the employer was obtuse in their methods of removing an employee. And so, again, I think Shannon's comments are spot on, that the leadership is key. In my experience, the work that I have been able to do in this town is keyed to the relationships that I've built up in 25 years of military service. Those people are the ones who hire me and push work my way. People that don't know me almost seem to have an implied sense that there should be discrimination because I am somehow abnormal or abhorrent. What we critically need, as Shannon mentioned, is leadership here to send a clear message that this is not abnormal or abhorrent.
Thank you, and I want to thank all the panelists and yield back the balance.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. But unanimous consent, Mr. Payne is here as a member of the full committee. He's recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, and thank you for allowing me to sit in your subcommittee, although I'm not a member of the subcommittee, but this is an issue that I have a tremendous amount of interest in. I think discrimination in general is just wrong. You can see why I think that. There's been a lot of changes, of course, in the course of the years. I was born in the 30s, and so I certainly, growing up, found much discrimination. Being a black person in a city that was known for a lot of racial discrimination, even though it was in the north, Newark, New Jersey. And it's good to see you again. She harasses me in my office, so. Let me just ask the question regarding restrooms that was brought up, and I saw someone in the audience shaking their head, and so I just wonder if anybody would like to just discuss that issue, where it's certainly going to be an issue, I would imagine, and so if you could just have a dialogue or on that issue.
Congressman,
Yes.
if I might,
Sure.
I would only say that from my personal experience, it has never been an issue. I'm recognized as a woman wherever I go, and people in all walks of my employment and personal life have no issues where I go to the bathroom.
And I'll just jump in there. We actually have a lot of experience with this issue now, because there are a number of state and local laws, and there's so many employers now that have adopted non-discrimination policies. There is a very standard, tried and true approach to bathrooms. It's the only one that's workable and humane and respectful. That is for a transgender person to use the restroom that corresponds to their gender identity when they take that step of living full-time in their true gender. That's consistent with the medical protocols and with common sense. And what we have seen time and time again is that any discomfort that coworkers may feel very quickly dissipates. And that's because a transgender man really is a man, a transgender woman really is a woman. Coworkers very quickly come to recognize that. And we have such a great track record on that with all across the country. I mean, there are thousands of transgender people who every day use the appropriate restroom without any incident or problem. So that is one issue that is very straightforward and really, in a practical sense, a non-issue.
My suggestion, sir, would be if there is guidelines already out there and they've been successful, that the committee look to that and use that and put that in any legislation that this committee may support, propose, and that is passed, so that employers are not left trying to wade through this. Because, again, we have very sophisticated companies such as Dow who are here, and they have a very comprehensive policy. But this proposed legislation may apply to smaller companies, again, as I testified to, 15, 16, 17 person employee companies are not going to have that level of sophistication, and they're going to take their guidance from whatever Congress passes.
The only thing I would like to add to this is that when I was transitioning, and I think I speak for most of the community, is that the transgender community was always very willing to work with our employers to do this in the most, what's the word I'm looking for? We want to work with our employers to make this as convenient as possible for everyone. We're not just looking to ourselves. We want to make it, make our transition as easy as possible for just ourselves and for the people who work around us. So we want to be considerate as employees.
Thank you very much. Just finally, this issue, I imagine, is going to start to especially now